Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving right into the gritty, incredibly high-stakes true story of a vanished submarine and a covert CIA heist that literally defied the laws of physics. We're looking at a moment in Cold War history where the hunger for an enemy's secrets reached such an absolute extreme that not even the deepest, darkest ocean trench could stop human ambition. I mean, it really sounds like a Hollywood thriller, doesn't it? Seriously, think about it. How exactly do you steal a 1,750-ton nuclear submarine, which, by the way, weighs about the same as 400 elephants, from the bottom of the ocean without anyone, especially the Soviet Union, noticing? Well, to understand how intelligence agencies pulled off this seemingly impossible operation, we've got to start with the terrifying disappearance of a vessel known as the Soviet Navy's Silent Killer. Part 1. The Silent Killer Vanishes. Let's rewind to 1968, a time of such intense Cold War brinkmanship that just one mistake, or even a minor miscalculation, could literally trigger total nuclear war. Okay, so on February 24th, 1968, the Soviet submarine K-129 departs its base in Kamchatka, under the command of Captain Vladimir Kobzar. And for the first couple weeks, everything seems completely normal. But then, on March 8th, the K-129's required radio check-in to Moscow abruptly vanishes. Just total silence. Meanwhile, on the American side, the highly classified SOS-US system, the secret network of underwater listening microphones, detects the terrifying sound of a massive underwater explosion. The Soviets are totally blind to what just happened, and they spend weeks frantically searching the Pacific, day and night, before finally throwing in the towel in May of '68. Now, you have to realize, the Soviets didn't launch that massive search for just any old boat. This was a ghost ship, loaded with devastating nuclear firepower. The K-129 was a Gulf II class vessel carrying 3 heavy R-21 ballistic missiles. And yeah, each one of those was fitted with a 1-megaton nuclear warhead. Tragically, there were also 98 Soviet Navy crewmen aboard. So for the Soviets, losing this sub was a massive strategic nightmare. But for the United States, it presented an absolutely unbelievable opportunity. Which brings us to Part 2, the CIA's audacious plan. While the Soviets gave up, the U.S. covertly got straight to work. Relying on their acoustic data to guess the rough location, they deployed a specially modified espionage sub called the USS Halibut, which took over 20,000 photos in the pitch-black depths to pinpoint the wreckage. And when CIA analysts finally reviewed those photos, the room must have fallen completely silent, because they found the K-129 shattered on the seabed an agonizing 16,000 feet down. To put that into perspective, that is nearly 5 kilometers or about 3 miles straight down into the abyss. We're talking total darkness, freezing temps, and pressure so intense it would crush a car like a soda can. Before this, the heaviest object ever recovered from those kinds of depths weighed maybe 50 tons. The section of the K-129 they wanted was over 30 times heavier than that. The U.S. Navy actually fought the CIA on this. They insisted it was practically impossible and way too dangerous, putting the chances of success at barely 10%. But the intelligence jackpot, the chance to literally reverse engineer Soviet nuclear technology, it was just too tempting. So, in January 1969, President Nixon officially greenlights Project Azorian, pouring an astronomical $800 million into stealing the submarine's midsection. Part 3. The Billionaire Cover Story. Now, this obviously presents a massive logistical nightmare. I mean, how on earth do you hide a years-long heist involving giant ships and heavy machinery from the razor-sharp eyes of Soviet surveillance? Well, the CIA needed the ultimate Trojan horse, a cover story so utterly convincing that no one would bat an eye. So they team up with eccentric American billionaire Howard Hughes. The CIA convinces the media, Congress, scientists, and crucially, the Soviets, that Hughes is launching this revolutionary deep-sea venture to mine rare manganese nodules from the ocean floor. And honestly, who's going to question an eccentric billionaire throwing absurd amounts of cash at a weird hobby? They even hired real actors and industry experts to front the whole operation. To pull off this flawless illusion, they built an absolute technological marvel, the Hughes Glomar Explorer. From the outside, this 619-foot, 50,000-ton behemoth looked exactly like a mining vessel, but its highly classified true purpose was totally hidden. The ship featured a massive secret door on its underside, a moon pool, large enough to pull an entire submarine straight up into its internal hull without a single Soviet satellite ever seeing it break the surface. Part 4. The Heist at 16,000 feet. Let's fast forward to July 4th, 1974. After years of intense preparation, the Glomar Explorer finally reaches the exact coordinates right over the K-129. To pull off the lift completely out of sight, the crew executes a breathtaking piece of engineering. They open those hidden moon pool doors, connect literal miles of steel pipes together piece by piece, and lower a massive mechanical claw, codenamed Clementine, 16,000 feet down. The goal? Grab the 1,750-ton wreckage and hoist it directly into the hull, totally underwater. But right as the American team is secretly lowering the claw, the tension completely skyrockets. Radar pings. Two Soviet ships, the SSV-10 and the Chazma, suddenly change course and box in the Glomar Explorer. A sharp voice crackles over the radio demanding to know what they're up to. The CIA crew holds their nerve, repeats the pre-planned Howard Hughes mining story, and incredibly, the Soviets buy it. Believing the media hype, they actually sail away, leaving the Americans to sweat it out. Part 5. The crushing mechanical failure. Okay, so with the Soviets finally out of the area, the mission commander gives the green light. For days, the miles of steel pipes are pulled back up at an agonizingly slow pace. But just as the submarine rises significantly from the seafloor, a terrifying jolt shakes the entire Glomar Explorer. Disaster strikes. The Clementine claw just cannot withstand the immense pressure and weight, and it snaps. Roughly 67% of the submarine, a massive 2/3 of the wreckage, breaks away and plunges right back into the dark abyss. And tragically for the CIA, that falling section contained their most prized targets, the nuclear missiles and their control systems. Now, despite the catastrophic break, it wasn't a total loss. The CIA carefully hauls the remaining 33% into the moon pool, and they actually secure an intelligence gold mine. They recover the forward section of the sub, which includes 2 Soviet nuclear torpedoes, crucial cryptographic machines, secret manuals, and advanced sonar gear. They also recover the bodies of 6 Soviet sailors. And in a really poignant moment, those sailors were respectfully given a military burial at sea, an event the CIA entirely filmed. Which leads us to our final chapter, Part 6, The Ultimate Secret Exposed. The CIA was relentless. Director William Colby immediately starts planning a second recovery attempt, Project Matador, to go back for those fallen missiles. But fate had other plans. A really bizarre burglary of highly classified documents at Howard Hughes's office sparks an unstoppable chain reaction. Despite Colby practically begging the press to maintain national security, the secret rapidly bleeds out. By February 1975, the LA Times links the stolen documents right back to the CIA. Then, in March, investigative journalist Jack Anderson completely blows the cover on national television, explicitly stating the Glomar Explorer was an espionage tool. The Soviet Union was absolutely furious. They immediately deploy warships to surround the ocean site, threatening that if the Americans ever return, it's going to be considered an act of war. So, Project Matador was permanently shut down. The political fallout was massive. When journalists ruthlessly grilled the government about the exposed op, officials gave a legendary response: "We can neither confirm nor deny." That phrase instantly became famous in the intelligence world. It's universally known as the Glomar response, and it's a tactic still actively used in legal and espionage circles today. It's crazy to think that to this day, the complete footage of the submarine being lifted remains highly classified. And the real reason the K-129 sank in the very first place? Still a total mystery. It leaves us with a pretty haunting final thought about human ambition and the extreme lengths nations will go to for supremacy. If the remains of the K-129 and its nuclear payload still sit 16,000 feet deep in the Pacific, what other deadly Cold War secrets are buried in the dark abyss forever?